Well, welcome everyone. My name is Ashley Hanson, and I am the Associate Vice President for Admissions. And I am here with my awesome colleague from the Aspire Center, Carolyn Serdar. And we are excited to talk with you this evening. And so tonight we have our career planning, the Aspire Center. And tonight we're going to be talking about careers within public service and social impact. So under that title, the majors of climatology and meteorology, criminal justice, education, environmental science, geographic information systems or GIS, geoscience, international political economy, political science, pre-law, psychology, social justice, social work, and sociology. Man, it's tough to say those really fast in a row. So, but that is what Carolyn is going to talk with you tonight about the majors and careers under this category. We are just simply excited to talk with you about career preparation, which begins day one at Carthage. We know that may be a little bit overwhelming to think about as you're going through this college search process. But we are here to help you to figure that out. And so just a couple things I wanted to go through before I turn it over to Carolyn is that for all of you joining us here this evening, you will have a $250 Aspire grant added on to your financial aid package. And that $250 grant will be renewable for all 4 years. So in order for me to add that on, I would love for each of you to drop your first and last name in the chat feature, but also your hometown, because it's just fun to see where everyone is viewing from this evening. So don't forget first and last name in the chat feature with your hometown as well. I would like to invite all of you to visit Carthage if you haven't done so already. We are open 6 days a week for visits, Monday through Saturday. And by visiting campus, you will receive a $500 visit grant. And then the admissions and financial aid staff, we are working with many of you as you're filing your FAFSA form, you're sending in your transcripts. Know that you will ultimately always have until May 1st to make any final decisions. But we will continue through the process, going through scholarships and financial aid to give you all the information that you need to make the best decision for you. So applying for scholarships, applying for financial aid, visiting, being here tonight, that doesn't commit you to Carthage. I know that can be very stressful to think about all that, but again, we want to give you all that information that you need. So Carolyn is going to talk specifics about how career preparations happen within your areas of study. She will have time for question and answer at the end. This is as informal as you would like to make it. But during her presentation, you're welcome to keep your video off, your microphone on mute, and then you're welcome to use the chat feature, or you can unmute and on video or put yourself back on video for those specific questions. But I would like to turn it over to Carolyn so she can talk specifically about career preparation at Carthage. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to see so many smiling faces. That's great. I'm Carolyn Serdar with the Aspire Center. Before we get started, I just want to sort of put a plug in there. My daughter is also a senior in high school right now. And so I am also going on the college tour experience, going to all the colleges to get all the information. And I have to say that I think that what we have to offer at Carthage is going to be pretty unique and pretty different. First of all, most colleges don't take the time to show off their career center. And so this is a great opportunity for you to kind of learn what a career center program should look like. But also we have a program that's very different. I've been working in the career service industry for about 20 years now. And I can tell you that this program is different than anything I've ever seen. And I think it's the most effective program that I've ever seen. So just a little very biased and very personal plug about this kind of conversation we're about to have. So let me get started here, and I'll start the slideshow. So this is the Aspire program. It's a 4-year career development preparation program. So this is a program that's going to be really different and unique to anything you've ever seen before. And part of it is because many people, when they go to college, go to their career center when they finish college. They show up senior year, about March or April of their senior year, and say, oh, I need a job. Maybe I should go to the career center and talk to someone. This program is going to be completely different because we work with you literally from day one today through the admissions process all the way through graduation. And I'll get a little bit more into how that all works. So here's a little bit more about me. My current title is Director of Employer Relations and Internships. I'm also currently serving as the interim Public Service and Social Impact Career Specialist, meaning that I work with students just like you who are interested in going into these fields by helping them connect with faculty members and staff members, as well as community partners. Community partners can be anything from like a nonprofit organization to a school to a community center, who offer opportunities for job shadow experiences or for internships and volunteer projects, things like that. We also work with for-profit employers who are looking to hire people for full-time jobs, as well as we have a vast, big group of thousands and thousands of alumni and friends of the college as well, who want to help our students get connected to jobs and internships, etc. So that's a little bit about me. You can see here my esteemed colleagues and some of the different career fields they support. Something I want to point out is that our career specialists and our staff members all come from very different, unique backgrounds. For example, Carrie Kim is our arts and culture specialist. She just arrived at the Aspire program this year after serving as the director of the public museums at the University of Oklahoma. And so she handles all of our arts and culture students. Haley Perez came from a background where she worked in a biological lab, working with mice and doing a lot of biological research. Holly Hess is one of the new people on our team. And so when students are a little bit on the undecided side of things, she helps them work through some undecided questions, as well as figure out what does life really mean outside of work. And so part of the Aspire program's philosophy is it's not just about getting you a job, it's about building a life, making sure that when you leave Carthage, you've gathered all the experiences you can to help give you a decision about what do you want life to really look like beyond the walls of an actual job experience. And again, I'm filling in as the interim career specialist, but we have just made a hire. His name is Patrick Sikowski. He is a Carthage alum. He graduated in 2018 and he just finished law school. And he's made the decision to give back to Carthage in ways that he was given to when he was at Carthage. He's going to be the new career specialist for public service and social impact. So he will be joining us in 2 weeks. Okay, the world is a changing place. This is a very short video of kind of how the world is changing and what it looks like in today's day and age. Let me just make sure. We haven't done this before yet. Ashley, you can hear this, or someone else can give me a thumbs up if you can hear the video.
We can hear it.
Great, and you can see it too, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay, let's keep it.
Carolyn, the video is not playing.
Okay, hang on one second. Let's try to share again.
That's perfect.
Great. Okay. And I'm going to share this. Okay. And we're back to the slide deck. So the world is changing, right? So the Aspire Center, and this is where things are a little bit different with Aspire versus other colleges' career centers. We are really committed to help respond to the change that we see in the world. So we totally want to prepare you for that end goal of getting a job, right? But we have to understand that success doesn't happen overnight. It too often gets discouraged because the end goal seems so far away. When I work with freshmen, sometimes they're like, it just seems so far to think about a job after college graduation. I'm just trying to get through this midterm. But it's really important that we keep going and really focus on what the experiences are like while you're in school as well. I worked with a freshman today who was curious about the field of marketing. She actually started off as a political science major and now is starting to shift and feel like maybe marketing is more of a better fit. So I'm having her join the Public Relations Society of Students organization so she can learn a little bit more about the marketing kinds of things. So it's about building those experiences and kind of pivoting when things don't go quite as planned. So we do this through a variety of ways with a variety of lenses, but we really want people to explore leadership, creativity, and entrepreneurship. And we do this a lot of different ways. To start, we want to ensure that students have a true awareness of who they really are, because when you know who you are, then you're more likely to succeed in going after the passions that you really love to do. So we go through the academic journey sometimes all the way up through senior year of high school and just kind of plug in all those required classes.
Yes, Kevin.
Okay, I'm opening it up.
Yes, Kevin.
If you could put yourself on mute, that would be great if you haven't already. So once we allow students to identify what their skills and interests and values really are through industry recognized assessments and other tools, we have really good candid conversations about what this means for the current trajectory and where they feel they might want to explore, learn more, or lean into some different areas. Sometimes we get met with clear answers and clear goals, and other times not as much. For example, today the student I met with that was political science, her career assessment came up with 3 big areas of interest. One was ecology, sustainability things, one was marketing and advertising, and one was law and public service things. But when we take all of those things into consideration, we start to understand trends and themes and, passions. So when I talked to her, I said, it seems as though you really want to work on behalf of other people to be a voice for people who are voiceless, such as plants and animals and other things. And you really want to be an agent of change. You really, truly, your core message is that you want to be an advocate. And she said, yes, that's what I am. I'm an advocate. So figuring out who we are and pulling those pieces together is really the key core component that will make people successful, not just at Carthage, but life beyond Carthage. If you can figure out those pieces of who you are now, those pieces are going to go really far once you get into the world of work. So there's a lot of variety of ways that we do this sort of work. So now that I've worked with a student in this capacity and we've started to figure out and uncover the layers of who she is, now we're going to do some things with experiential education, where we're going to start to figure out what does she want to do? Does she want to do a job search? Does she want to do some job shadowing, working with an alum perhaps and watching them kind of do their job at work? Is it something where we want to set up an internship or even a micro internship? A micro internship is a regular internship, but only about 3 weeks long. So it's project-based, it's kind of smaller experience. So those are some experiential pieces that we can embed into the college experience to make sure that students are getting everything they want to do. So the truth of the matter is that these experiential learning opportunities are not only valuable to students in the short term, but when we factor in the power and importance of networking, which is sort of part of the whole experiential education, it becomes a win-win situation for a long-term outcome as well. There's a statistic out there that says that over 80% of jobs are acquired through referrals. That means that only about 20% of jobs are actually secured when people apply on websites like Indeed or Google or things like that. So if you know that 80% of jobs are secured through a networking experience, getting these experiential learning opportunities is key. It's really important to do this because you want to get that positive employment outcome at the end of your college experience. So here's some essentials about the Aspire program. So unlike what I described before, when most students would go to their career center, April, May of their senior year and say, I think I need a job now. Instead, with the Aspire program, all students are auto-enrolled from very much the day one. So we show up, the Aspire team shows up in full force at orientation during the freshman year. And so during that orientation, we have you do all sorts of interesting things. So we have you try something new, which is one of the Aspire components, because we want you to take risks and try something new, whether that be a small risk or a bigger risk, etc. So in the past, we've handed out literally hundreds of boxes of tubs of Play-Doh, and we've had students try to make something new to define what their goal might be at Carthage. So that can be something new that we do, but everybody is auto-enrolled from day one. Everybody will have a career specialist and an academic advisor starting day one. So your career specialist works with you individually and in a group setting. Students that are freshmen get messages from us all the time, everything from, hey, go check out this event that's going on campus, or hey, this looks like an interesting thing for pre-law students to go investigate a little bit further. We don't typically hold back opportunities from underclassmen. We want everybody to go and experience things. I even encourage freshmen and sophomores to go to career fairs, because even though you may not be looking for a job right now, it's good practice. It's good to get comfortable going to a job fair or career fair, because it'll help you practice those skills that when the time comes that it actually counts, it's important to keep it going. I'm sorry about my dog barking. So you'll have a career specialist at the ready. And then once you graduate, you also have that same career specialist or a similar one ready to help you as well. Our services are good until the day you die. We will continue to offer free career services throughout the rest of your life. We joke that we make the Aspire program as unavoidable as possible for students, because we want to make sure that you are engaged and you're having these experiences throughout your time at Carthage. But I want to make sure, very clear, is that the Aspire program certainly helps you prepare for the workplace, but it's not really about work. It's this holistic idea of building your future life. At last year's Aspire conference, for example, we had programming surrounding mental wellness, and we even started our conference with a professional doodler, like doodling on a piece of paper. We found someone who actually doodles for a living, who's made a career out of it, because we want to make sure that people understand that you can do creative jobs and get paid for it and find joy and live your life fully in doing these different kinds of things. All right, here's a quick video of the Aspire conference, I believe. And again, I may need to do the stop share and reshare, so bear with me.
Sometimes you need to unload your cart before you can fill it back up. And so that's kind of the point of this exercise here.
We hear various statements when underrepresented groups share their accomplishments, and perceptions and biases that are unfair, and ones that we need to openly and outwardly challenge. So we'll go through some of those today as well.
Okay, so that is some highlights from our Aspire conference, which really taps into that idea of creativity and leadership and entrepreneurship, and of course, career development as well. So we did a lot of different things. You saw some of the food there. We had a tacho bar, which is literally tater tots mixed with nacho toppings. They were delicious. We also encouraged people to make screen printed sweatshirts and t-shirts and things like that. We had a lot of fun. So the Aspire conference is an annual event, It happens every single year. All students are invited to attend. We typically have about 1,000 to 1,500 students show up in one capacity or another and actually engage in some of our workshops and some of our presentations. You saw Caroline Riley there, who is a VP at Google. She's also a Carthage alum who had a very interesting journey coming from a very different major and then working her way up into a tech career. And that's often the kind of conversations we engage with at the Aspire Conference, is bringing our alums back to campus who have these amazing careers. Last year, we had someone from CNN, who's a VP of communications at CNN, and she started at Carthage as a religion major. And so talking about what it looks like to go from being a religion major all the way up to being a VP at CNN. We've also had some NASA spacesuit designers, who started off as a music major, and how that became a possibility to go into NASA. So really interesting things we do at the conference. It's becoming, we just finished our 3rd annual conference, and it's becoming the talk of campus. People are looking forward to it, and they get excited about it, and they show up and attend, which is a lot of fun. All right, next slide. Okay, so opportunities to do engagement. Here I have pictured something from a previous career fair where we partner with other colleges in the area, and we actually do career fairs collaboratively, because employers tell us that they really love recruiting from multiple colleges, and they also tell me on the side that their favorite students are Carthage students, which is always nice to hear, and I think that they're being honest when they say that. So this is an opportunity where we, engage in different ways. Of course, we still have to do the typical career center things, not just all the fun leadership and creativity pieces, but we also do some other pieces as well. We have some VIP programming for you. This kind of thing happens. We've connected with the Aspire Network, which is an opportunity for you to connect with alumni from across the globe. So these are representations, and there's been more added since this screenshot was taken, but we literally have a little over 700 alumni who have raised their hand and said, we want to help Carthage students get connected and get motivated and promoted into organizations around the country and around the world. So if you're familiar with LinkedIn, the Aspire Network is our own private LinkedIn. So it's only for students and alums from Carthage. And so what this does is it allows students to raise their hand and say, I'm curious about a career in marketing, or I'm curious about a career as what it means to be a special ed teacher in a school with this specific thing. So what we do is we pair them up with alumni in the Aspire Network, where they're able to message these alums right on the platform and get information and start the conversation that way, which often leads into an informal and sometimes formal mentoring relationship. So it's a great opportunity. Sometimes people ask me the question, well, why should I choose Carthage when your alumni network is this big compared to a state school, which may have an alumni network that's, hundreds of thousands of people, right? And my answer is always the same. My answer is, we have relationships that we build. And so when I go into the Aspire Network, I know that these alums have actually raised their hand and said, I want to help. And when I send a student to have a message or a conversation with that alum, they respond right away. You will find at Carthage that people, if you've been to campus, people hold doors open for each other. It was one of the first things I noticed when I interviewed on campus. It is that kind of Carthage community that continues past graduation, so that if I reach out and ask an alum that I don't even know, hey, I work at the Aspire Center, can you help this student who's curious about your role in the public law enforcement field? They write back almost immediately and say, yeah, what can I do? How can I help? That's the power of Carthage and the Aspire network of alums that go out and above. All right, moving on. So experiential learning, this is one of my absolute favorite things to talk about, because our students do some amazing things. And because they do amazing things with experiential learning, they then, when they graduate, want to do even more interesting things. I talked to a senior today who said, hey, I'm graduating in May and I want to go work in Ireland. I've always wanted to go there. Help me get connected. Great, fantastic. So we worked through trying to find alums and try and find opportunities over in Ireland. So before graduation, though, we want to make sure that people get some good experiential learning in their back pocket. So they can join student clubs and orgs. We have over 130. I personally am the advisor for the LGBTQ SA club, and happy to answer questions about that club if you're interested. But we have lots of different organizations, and Greek life. I do a whole presentation about Greek life and career development. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here that you can get involved and get interested and connected and network, even through those student clubs and orgs. Sometimes students will tell me, I don't have any experiences to put on my resume. Oh, but I've done these 4 different clubs, orgs, Greek life, whatever. That becomes your experience to put on your resume. So that's an opportunity. Attending career relevant campus events, whether that be a job fair, a networking event. Tomorrow night, our computer science, we're bringing back an alum to talk about how she kind of maneuvered her way through Carthage and now works at a high-end job in the computer science field. We've invited all of our computer science students to attend that event. We do similar things with other groups as well. And then ways to engage in experiential learning, all of those things listed there. Finding a part-time job, even on campus, it's encouraged to do your first job on campus your freshman year. It's a great opportunity to build some skills, have a job that you know will work around your school schedule, having supervisors that are pretty flexible. When you say, I've got a midterm, they let you take extra time off work. Having that first on-campus job experience is pretty helpful. And then that builds into an off-campus experience, working part-time at another job off campus, completing an internship or a job shadow. We do some service learning as well. And then there's always research projects. So if you're curious about something and want to investigate it, let's do it. I have a student I know pretty well that has been a history and psych double major and didn't really know where she was going to go with this kind of information, got connected to one of our psych faculty members and worked with her over the summer on what's called a SURE project, which stands for Summer Undergraduate Research Experience. And so she spent all summer at Carthage living on campus and collecting data and doing research projects. That's a great experience that she's able to take with her into the world of work. And then, of course, projects, lots of different projects as well. Just to mention some big companies that are headquartered in Kenosha. You've probably heard of many of these companies. Some of these companies are not quite in Kenosha, but we claim them as our own. Kohl's is a little bit further north in Wisconsin, as is GE. But many of these companies are regularly hiring our students for internships and for full-time jobs. We have many alums who work at these companies. But this is, a very expansive network to get connected between the Milwaukee and Chicago region, which is one of the reasons that we hear people talk about choosing Carthage so much, is because we're literally halfway between the 2 major cities. It's actually why Carthage moved from Carthage, Illinois, up to Kenosha, was because the presidents had great insight at the time to say, we need to be closer to major industries to make sure people can get into the working world after graduation. So Jockey, for example, is a very strong partner with Carthage. They hire our interns on a regular basis. We also have, because I know that many of you are going into the fields of education and nonprofit and social work, we also have really good relationships with all of the Kenosha schools and the Racine school districts, as well as the nonprofit organizations in the community, including United Way of Kenosha County and United Way of Racine County. So really good partnerships with them and many, many others. Okay, let's talk about the MAP program. So MAP is our new program where we can kind of pull all of these opportunities and all of those leadership experiences and experiential education, kind of pull it all together to really help you understand what you've done, so that by the time you graduate from Carthage, when you're a senior, you can look back and say, oh, this is my portfolio. These are all the things that I've done. It'll build up your competencies, and the competencies are part of your achievement pieces. So the MAP is the catchphrase for My Aspire plan. So how does it exactly work? So a student will track their experiences through guided activities, events, and reflections to help develop their career and life readiness skills and mindset. So college is fast and busy. Like it will fly by, I promise. Some days maybe not so much, but many times students get to senior year, they're like, how did I get here? It's easy for students to lose track of all of your experiences, of those moments, right? So we don't want students to start from a blank page when they're applying for jobs. This is why it's important that you're embedded in the MAP from day one, so that freshman year at orientation, you can track, hey, I did something new this year. I went to this activity. Many students were tracking that they went to homecoming their freshman year, and something that they did in homecoming was they met an alum, or they developed a new connection. They met an alum who's part of the Greek organization that they want to become part of. So they're building all of these things and tracking it through this system. It creates a developmental portfolio to have like your best of moments so that when you graduate, you're able to look back and see, what did I do the last 4 years? Instead of staring at a blank screen where you're trying to write a resume and you're like, I don't know what I did. So these portfolios provide a place to capture your ideas, your best of moments. It also helps you understand how genuine engagement in your experiences in all these activities can be viewed as opportunities to work on building your competencies. So that's what the My Aspire plan is. We've come up with this tagline of it's a Fitbit for the Aspire plan. That's what this is. It literally helps you track all the things. Oftentimes, last week I did a presentation for the DUs, which is a Greek organization, and I created an activity. So they earned points and they were able to track it in their maps so that they know that in November of 2021, they attended a session on resume writing and they're able to track it in their map. So that's what the map is all about. Again, most other career centers are not going to have things like this. Okay, let's talk about a success story. So this is one of my favorite alums, Shannon. Shannon was an elementary ed and cross-categorical special ed major. She was very involved on campus. She was both an RA, a resident assistant, and she was also had a leadership position in her sorority. She worked for the Aspire program as a career ambassador, which meant that she helped other students in the school. She reviewed their resumes, she helped give advice, she actually helped put together presentations. Because she was involved in Greek life, she actually helped me put together that Greek life presentation. And she was captain of the volleyball team who ended up that year, they came in second place overall at the NCAA Division Championship. She had multiple internships in addition to her student teaching experiences because she wanted to make sure that when she graduated that she had some experiences to look back on and figure out what kind of school did she want to work at, what kind of activities did she want to do, etc. So after Carthage, she was hired immediately to work at Blessed Savior Catholic School. It's just outside Milwaukee. She's a fourth grade teacher, and her very first year was teaching last year during COVID, which was a challenging year for all teachers, much less a first-year teacher. And she did it with poise and grace and was able to pivot because she had learned some lessons at Carthage about what to do when things don't go as planned. She also coaches their volleyball team as well at the grade school. And then some supporting resources. So a lot of times students come in, I hear a lot of students right now say, when I filled out the application to come to Carthage, I thought that my major was going to be education, or I thought I was going to be pre-law. But here I am a year later, and I've had a lot of more experiences. I've had some more thoughts, or I've taken my first, class in education and realized I really don't want to be a teacher. So we do something called Pathway U, which is an industry standard career assessment. And we're able to help students kind of pull out pieces that they're strong in and make conversations about what the next step might be, such as that student I mentioned earlier that was political science and now is leaning towards marketing and environmental science. We do some things that are site visits or career discovery tours where we take students to companies or to organizations and look around. We do planned visit days and have some specific goals in mind for those tours. But it's important to me, at least, to take students out to the world. For example, many students don't know what an employee resource group or an affinity group is. And so sometimes we'll take clubs and orgs that match up with that out to a company to learn more about what that is. We do resume and interview coaching all the time. Every day there is resume and interview coaching happening in the Aspire Center. Certainly we do career fairs, both virtual fairs, and we do big fairs. And sometimes we do boutique fairs, meaning that we specialize them into industries that are more, cohesive in nature. We just did one at Parkside recently that was a combination of Parkside, Gateway, Carthage, and Herzing. And the four colleges came together to really focus on different areas of industries. So we had a manufacturing fair, we had a nonprofit and government education fair, and then we had a business fair. Oh, and a healthcare one as well. So we did separate fairs to kind of grab those students that are interested in those fields rather than the gigantic fairs. But we do the gigantic fairs too. We have an online job and internship posting board called Handshake. Handshake is the only posting mechanism for all colleges in the state of Wisconsin, which is great because all employers then put their jobs on that one website. So if a company wants to recruit, they post on that same website to all the colleges in Wisconsin. We have a mentorship program as well. And then, of course, networking events. Mentoring program is the Aspire Network that I mentioned before. And then networking events, we do as many as we can. And certainly now that we're coming around the corner from COVID, we hope to do more in-person networking events. But during COVID, we did something called Dinner for Four. And we had an alum and an employer and a student, 2 students, and they had dinner together. So we're creative, and we always joke that we have to do the walk that we always talk about. We always have to find ways to pivot and to be creative and to find ways that we can be leaders among the college as well. So that is the Aspire program. I am happy to take questions either in the chat or if you want to shout them out.